Hello, hello.
Hey,
How's
how
it
you
going,
doing?
guys? I'm
Pretty
doing.
good.
I'm doing.
Pretty good. Thanks for making the time to do this interview. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for giving me the time to have this interview. I appreciate that. So
My pleasure.
you guys are number 2 in my hot seat tonight. Savage Sundays. It's becoming a thing. Thank you for
Right
joining
on.
us. And
Savage Sundays.
for everyone who doesn't know, and you should by now, we have the guys of Eve to Adam with us. Would you guys like
How
to
you
introduce
doing?
yourselves
How's it
to
going
everyone?
out there?
Would you like to
What's
introduce
going on?
yourselves to everyone for those who don't know you?
Sure. Hi, my name is Taki. I'm the singer for Eve to Adam.
And I'm Island. I am the bass player.
And who are we missing?
We're missing our guitar player, Jay. He is up in Orlando handling some other stuff. And our drummer, Danny, is
He's laid up. He's
laid
sick.
up. He's sick, so he was on the couch at home.
Yeah, he caught the first summer cold, I guess. Something.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't feeling too good.
Well, that sucks. Well, get better,
Tried
man.
to give him some Jägermeister to knock it out, but he wasn't having
Good.
it.
Get it. I'm telling you.
That would have taken care of it.
I used to steal my mom's 44M cough medicine when I was a kid. And that's what it tastes like to me. So she had to hide the cough medicine from me as a kid.
Vic's 44, right? Yeah. Good old Vic.
I used to always carry that stuff around because sometimes you'd up in a venue that wasn't necessarily the most sanitary place. If you take that Vicks vapor rub and you just rub it underneath your nose, you have to smell the venue the entire night.
Oh, that's good.
That was one of my main tour packages that you need to always bring with you when you're on the road.
There you go. We got some DIY. We got some DIY. Some info for us for if we want to knock out some nasty smells or whatever. Just rub some.
Some of these places, it's a unique smell of like vomit, urine, and beer. You know, like stale beer. So it's like, yeah. So yeah. Vicks doesn't smell too good either, but it smells better than that shit.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. That is too funny. It's a great way to start an interview up. That's beautiful.
Hey, that's as real as it gets right there, man. That's rock and roll right there.
Right? I'm just saying. Get to the good stuff first and then get to the rest of it.
For people in the industry that have done all these clubs forever and ever and ever, they know exactly what we're talking about.
Sometimes you've been trapped on that bus for a week where you can't get to the laundromat. Your guitar player starts to smell up. You're like,
yeah, I can't imagine being on that tour bus. I always wonder about that. I'm just like, yeah.
Everybody thinks it's so glamorous. They're like, the tour bus. I'm like, yeah, when it's clean, it's good. But other than that.
So basically, before you leave for
when
tour,
you're not on fire,
before you leave and when you're about to turn the bus back in, those are the best times because that's when it smells fresh, pine fresh. Everything in between is kind of a smelling game. You're like, wait a second, what was that? What was
enjoy it
last night? That smells terrible.
The last bus we had just smelled like burning because we were on fire a lot.
Yeah, that was right before the pandemic. You were talking about what happened leading up to COVID, and then we were on tour with Queensryche and John 5 from Rob Zombie. We're now Motley Crue, and we had a unique experience with the bus we were on. Yeah, she tried to kill us a few times, I think. Did we call her the Reaper? What did we call her?
The Silver Reaper.
The Silver Reaper. Yeah. We brake line froze up. I think we caught fire in third gig in, right?
Yeah, we were in Katy, Texas, and we ended up hopping a curb at like 65 miles an hour because we were on fire and couldn't stop.
It was like Dukes of Hazzard. We were just like airborne. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, dude, did you just take a curve at 65 and go airborne? He's like, yeah, we didn't have any brakes. The only way I could stop the bus. I was like, oh my God, we're sitting outside the bus.
Like you didn't roll that damn bus. Holy shit.
I've got my dog with me. And I'm like, we're sitting there on the side just watching this thing fucking smoke.
I just went to sleep.
And I was like, I grabbed him. I was like, dude, bus is on fire. Let's go. He goes, just leave me in here. He pulls the curtain. I was like, man. Is it that bad? Is that where we're at?
The captain's going down with the ship.
He's like, just leave me be. I want an honorable death. I was like, all right. No.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it was Queensryche was like, man, you guys remind us of us, but back in the early 80s, you guys can't believe you didn't miss a show on this tour, and they can't believe you're on the same bus. So yeah, we were dealing with the pandemic. Like literally, like it was a 37 run show tour, it was all House of Blues and theaters and stuff, and coast to coast. We started in Florida, went all the way to Cali, Oregon, Washington, the whole country essentially. But like, I guess it was about a quarter way through the tour, we started like hitting like the zones where the COVID was exploding. Like,
we were in Washington.
In Seattle, we were like the night before we played the ballroom, the Majestic Ballroom or whatever it was, and then like the next day it was like that whole thing happened with the retirement home and everything, and like we were like, holy shit, we were like, are we spreading this thing or what the hell is going on? I thought it was us. We're like, man, there's a virus on this bus, and we're giving it to everybody.
Literally our entire route, like, oh no.
Yeah, so it was like every like 2 days later, like everywhere was San Francisco, then it was like Seattle, and then it was like, I mean, everywhere we're crisscrossing through Denver. I mean, it was like, man, it was like
everywhere you were going, it was shutting down one by one.
We were piggybacking
days off in New York, you know.
Yeah, it was man, as if we didn't have enough issues to deal with. We had that as well, and then we didn't understand the depth of what was really going on because we were in tour mode and just trying to stay alive with the bus not killing us. But
right? If you're not fighting for your life one way, now you're fighting another. It's like, and you're on the run at this point.
It was pretty much when we got back is when we realized how bad everything. Like I ended up getting like really, really sick.
He was really sick. By the last 3 days of the tour, we rolled out to Orlando to finish the tour. We started in Fort Lauderdale and we finished in Orlando. And he was so ill, like he played the show like a champ, and then he was gone. Like he just disappeared. His girlfriend took him home.
You caught it. You did end up catching.
Well, They thought he just had pneumonia, but it ended up later, like as the testing got more comprehensive.
I had 100. It was like 103 fever for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was hallucinating and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, he was really sick. So.
You're like, what kind of medicine they giving me?
It was
there's
I ended up because this tour was a dry run. We weren't allowed to drink most of it.
I was diagnosed with it twice, but I didn't have any symptoms. I was pissed. I was like, I gotta miss work because of ACE symptoms. I'm like, I'm asymptomatic. That means let me go back. But then I heard some nightmare stories from many, many people, and a lot similar to yours, that they were down for the count. Like literally, they thought that was it for them.
It literally took me we got back from that tour in March. It took me until February of 2021 to actually be completely like back.
No
shit. He had a lot of those. He had a lot of the long hauler symptoms of like.
Yeah, like I ended up having I had issues with my kidneys that ended up happening, all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh wow! And we got somebody popping in to come say hello. You guys remember Rob from Concert Junkies?
Oh yeah, hey Rob,
what's up, man?
What's up, man?
Yeah, Rob is actually one of my partners, and we I co-host with him on Wednesday nights. I've been doing that for a little over a year now. I mean, I'm partnered up, so we like to bring the music from the East Coast to Central.
Yeah. We had a good interview with Rob. It was like a couple weeks ago, and gave me a chance to reconnect with the tri-state area, New York vibe, and everything. New York, New Jersey, and we did a little walk down memory lane there with a lot of the venues that he lives nearby with. That we played, over time. So yeah, we started this band. I mean, I started this band in New York City. So in CBGB's actually was the very first show of this band officially.
Right.
So this is a Bowery born band, New York tried and true. And now we're transplants. We're Tampa based.
Right. Yeah. You guys moved to New York in what, around 98, 97?
98, September of 98. Mm-hmm. And then the band officially debuted. We were building and writing and trying to find members and, kind of just putting the building blocks together. Right. 2000, 99, 2000, but the first album officially came out in 01. So July 24th, 2001 through Concrete.
That was
Marketing.
Auburn Slip, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Very good.
Yes.
That's impressive.
It was.
Most people don't know that.
With what I do know from a lot of the bands that I am a fan of and have been for years, long before Savages existed, I will find out the rest. What I don't know, it's my job.
That's cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were going to do a 20-year anniversary, but there was during the whole pandemic spell, so we're kind of do it post dated. We're actually going to do I guess like a dual anniversary release with Locked and Loaded coming up on 10 years. Because that came out September of 2013, and then kind of a post-dated, 20-year thing for Auburn Slip. So,
right. But what about 25 year? I mean, that put it actually 25 year would actually put it this year, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We lost a few years there with the COVID thing.
Okay, so what? 30 is the goal. 30 is the goal.
Right.
Quarter century.
Yeah, I mean it's been such a strange trip these last few years for sure, because like we were running so hot with the tour we were on, and it was literally like 3 years of momentum of work. The rebooting the band in 2018, and when Island joined the band, and I just recently had gotten divorced, and just basically ended up in the bus, and just like we just hit the road and never looked back. I mean, we just did. And
that's an understatement. That's putting it lightly. I mean, you literally lived on the bus for the next couple of years. Like that's all you guys did was just before the pandemic did. You guys
2018, February 2018 to March of 2020. We were home for a week at a time, and then we were back out for 3 to 6 to 8 weeks at a time, depending on the run and what it was. But we was just constant gigging, right. And and it was great. It's a great way for me not to deal with my issues. But
distraction.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw yourself into your work, right?
Yeah, I know.
But but yeah, so yeah. It was a very eerie feeling, like with the COVID thing happening and stuff, because like at the inception of this band, like when we first started out and we released our first record, like 2.5 months before 9/11.
Right.
So
was it that close? Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. July 24th, 2001.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even 2.5 months. It was like a month and a half. And we were just kind of getting traction with radio and press, and then everything just kind of like, it was just the day that stood still, And I remember watching the towers come down from the roof of my loft in Astoria, Queens.
You actually watched it. You actually saw it.
I remember, man, we were on a bender the night before. And
I would think I'm hallucinating if I was on a bender the night before and you wake up to something like that.
We had just gone to bed. I had just gone to bed. We had a house party, and we were all in service industry at the time, bartending and waiting, and we were in restaurants and bars and stuff. So it was a Monday night, which is service industry night, right? So basically that's when people that's when people really party that are doing bars and restaurants and stuff. So literally it was one of those like 5-6 a.m.ers, and so we had just laid down, and then my roommate came pounding on the door, and I was like, you better have a fucking good reason right now for waking me up. And he's like, dude, you got to come out. You got to, and I was like, and it's like, we turned the television on, and then we went up to the roof, and we lived like 2 miles from LaGuardia Airport.
Right.
So it was like really eerie to like not hear any air traffic. In fact, the only air traffic we heard was like F-16s. And then watching the second tower come down. The first one had already come down, but the second one came down, and then just that smell. I'll never forget the smell of like,
dude, that had to have been so surreal.
That rubber, like that kind of like that burnt smell it was terrible.
I can't imagine. Yeah. I mean, just hearing it from Chicago. I remember I just woke up because I was running an office at that time. I think I was like 21 when it happened.
Yeah, so was I. I was like 20, 21, 22 years old. I was really young.
Yeah, when I was running an office and I had the radio on, and it was on Q101, was just like newsflash, and I'm like, everyone, shut up, turn it up. I thought I was tripping because I stayed up all night too. Because I'm a bartender, but I was a bartender by trade up until about 3 years ago, actually.
Sure.
No, totally. So I'm thinking, I'm like, am I hearing shit? And then I was like, dude, the Twin Towers just got hit, and everyone's like, no. And then we start putting on different radio stations, turned on the TV. That was it. And that, it was like the world came to a halt.
Yeah, the world came to a halt, and the world changed at the same time, all in one moment. Like,
I cannot imagine seeing that happen. I mean, we were listening to it. You were there.
never to return again. I mean, and you know, having moved to New York in '98 and having like enjoyed like, I feel like I got the last like era of like the city pre 9/11. Like it was just magic. I mean, everything was just amazing. The Yankees were crushing it. Like everything was great. The Knicks were doing great. Like it was just, I don't know. It was just like it was kind of like a fairy tale. And then, you know, the city was never the same after 9/11. So
yeah, the country. So
yeah, I mean, the world.
I mean, the
really,
city itself. I mean, they were the ones who were affected. That's a whole different level. You know, it's one thing to be watching it from the outside, but when you're in it,
yeah. And then I like volunteered, like, you know, I was like down there in the, you know, supply line, and like it was really united, like a lot of New Yorkers, and like we really were trying to help out the rescue workers, and you know, it's just kind of like a human chain of like passing supplies down, water, food, you know, first aid stuff. And I'll never forget the haunting feeling of like the missing signs that family members were posting of their you know, their fathers, their mothers, their relatives, friends that you know had ultimately perished in the tragedy, but they were in such shock they couldn't, you know, accept that, and they were just like putting up missing posters, you know, all over the city. You know, have you seen my dad? You know, it's like I'll never forget like how haunting that was, and how vacant the whole city felt. And you know, we used to play this club called Don Hills. It was down in Greenwich. It was like a really cool metal club party spot, you know, and then like that place, like I don't think that place ever recovered really. Like it came back a little bit. Like it took 2 years for gigs to even start up. You know, Typo Negative used to play there. It was like, you know, it was like one of those like staple metal you know, venues in the city that like really cool, like bigger bands would play, even though it was a smaller club, but it was like cool, exclusive VIP kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You'd never know who you'd see in that neighborhood. Like, you know, Yoko Ono lived in that neighborhood, and like you just see like celebrities like Edward Norton or Robert De Niro, or like it was just like surreal, you know. And then like it was just crazy. It was like a ghost, you know, like a cemetery ghost yard. But so like when the pandemic came and hit, like I was just like, I like the feeling was all too familiar, because like some of my friends were like, dude, this will pass over, man. 2-3 months, you'll be back at it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, man, this ice is just taking shape right now, and it's gonna it's a glacier. It's gonna thaw us. It's gonna, you know, we're gonna freeze out here for a minute, because, you know, it was just very familiar. You know, it's like when you're part of a world event that's like, it's re-terraforming industry and life as you know it. Entertainment is always a victim, you know, congregations and stuff, especially when you're dealing with a virus. So that was tough, because we were moving at Mach 2, and then all of a sudden it was like slowly the air was coming out of the balloon. And that's what was so painful, because it was like, there's nothing we could do, you know, we were just stuck, and we knew it was like slowly dying, and we would have to restart this thing. And that's like, it took me for a loop. I went into a pretty deep depression over it, because I was just like, I just couldn't believe.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a lot of PTSD again. A lot of people with PTSD. I mean, that's not something that you get over. That, you know, it's traumatizing is not even the word for it. You know, I mean, that's something you are.
I'm grateful that I'm still here, and I'm grateful that my, you know, island and I mean, we survived, and, you know, we both lost friends through it, you know, and I know a lot of people lost family members and friends throughout the event. So obviously they've suffered even more than we did. But, you know, when you know how it is in entertainment, you work so hard to build momentum and, you know, garner like that energy and get that buzz going, and it's like, to be like, it's very painful, you know. And it's almost like at that stage in our career where it was like, this was kind of a second chapter, so to speak, you know. And it's like, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore, and I don't know if I even have the energy or the will to do this again, you know. When you move the boulder up the mountain so many times, and you're almost at the top of Everest, and all of a sudden you just get, you know, an avalanche just takes you to the bottom again to start over. You look back up and you go, I don't know if I got it in me anymore. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of soul searching going on the last couple of years for us, especially just speaking for myself. You know, I wasn't sure. I felt so lost.
So have you guys ever thought about quitting? When you feel like you lose your place, sometimes that is a thought. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Oh yeah, no, that was definitely what I was wrestling with the last couple of years for sure. Yeah. You know.
So what kept you fighting? What kept you there?
To be honest with you, a lot of the fans, their connection with the music, what the songs have meant to them, the fact that, you know, when we kind of like went underground with it, you know, because people were like wondering if we were alive or what was going on, you know, they were really worried about us. And then just them writing in and like just like talking about how excited they are to see us again and how much the music means to them and what they've used the music, the fuel it's been for them in their lives and things they've had to overcome.
Right.
That kind of takes on a whole life of its own, you know, and that's very inspirational. So, you know, it kind of gives you it stimulates you. So it's like, you know, it's like, even though you may think it's over in your psyche, in the darkest corners of your own psyche, you know, there's people out there that are like not ready for it to be done.
They're not ready to let you go.
Yeah. And so, you know, at that point you feel like you have a little bit more of a responsibility. And that's, you know, those are the things you search for, to kind of like, you look for any kind of stimulus to like, kind of like, you know, get some leverage, get yourself up off the ground and just kind of get, you know, start walking again, you know? So honestly, I mean, the testament to the fans and, you know, the people that really, really, really love the music and, you know, earnestly, like, were very motivational for me to, you know, kind of recommit, because also this is the kind of gig that it's like, it's not like it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's like, put out an album, you made some royalties, you know, you got a publishing deal, you could coast for a while, you know, like this is all hands on deck, all in. You can't be like, this isn't like a one leg in, one leg out. You can't pussyfoot yourself around with this shit. You've got to be in, you know, and you've got to be, you know, you've got to be present, you know, you've got to deal with, you know, communicate with your fans and interact. And if you're mentally not there, you know, it's a very difficult job.
Right.
And that's when things go wrong. And that's the last thing you want to happen. You don't want to lose it on a fan, or you don't want to have that moment where, you know, because there's very little like sympathy for artists. Like, you don't, you know, they don't want to see you having a bad moment. It's like, there's not much.
They look at you as a god, you know? They look at you as a god, so they expect you to be immortal, which is actually one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, but, I mean, no pun intended, but yeah, almost like, you know, you've got to like stomach it and keep soldiering on and be strong for them. And they want their moment. They deserve their moment. They've supported you and been on the ride with you, ups and downs and everything else, you know? So it's like, for me, I had to really just check myself and be like, you know, you're going to go back in. You've got to be, you know, you got to be ready for hand-to-hand combat. There's no like 60% or 80%. You got to be 110% ready.
And with everything that happened too, it's kind of like everyone kind of started to like focus more on the mental health awareness and everything like that. It was kind of like people get to see like, yeah, we have the same issues too. We go through the same moments where we want to freak out and just burn everything to the ground, but
you're still human, just like they are. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, musicians are so fragile, you know. I mean, we're so powerful in the moment on the stage, and when we reach our apex of emotion and synchronicity of, you know, when the music, the movement, and the emotion all, you know, catalyzes together, it's like inferno. And then like 20 minutes later, you're in the backstage somewhere, like almost like Rocky in Rocky 4, you know, at the end of or the beginning of Rocky 5, when he's like, you know, after he beat Drago, and then he's like, oh, he's just like a lump of like, you know, chopped hamburger. You know?
Right. You just collapse within yourself, like just mentally, physically, and you just drop. You drink.
And that's how you feel. You know, it's like, because you know, when you're really like giving everything out there to everybody, you know, you just, you know, and that's the way I am as a performer. Is I just, I sell it. I give it. I mean, it's even if I ain't got it, the computer inside my head is going, save 10% for tomorrow. And I'm like, burn it.
It's like
Give it to them. Let's go for it. You know what I mean?
It's like with the live shows, that's like our chances are just like actually just like release all that energy. So having those like several years where like couldn't do live shows.
That was the hardest thing.
We had nowhere to put that. And it was like, we put it into like, we were working on some stuff and writing and everything like that.
It's not the same.
But it was like, there's a lot of pent up energy where it was like, you'd have like complete mental breakdowns. Like, what am I doing?
Well, I mean, a lot of us got into this gig. We got into this gig because of that vent that music gives us. You know what I mean? It was a place, a natural, aspirated, vent for us, like for the personality types that we are. So all of a sudden it's like, this is a component to your engine that you work with. So when you're throttling up, that you're going to burn that off, somewhere.
Right.
When you don't have that, things can get squirrely because, you look to other avenues, and that's usually drugs or alcohol or, or like just negative landscapes that you're trying to substitute what the music does for you. And that it ends up you end up in bad places. So
I ended up trading chicken recipes online with people. I felt like a little old lady.
Yeah, we all felt like little old grandmas because we were like, hey man, I got this, look at these roses, look what I've done here. It was like, and then we're like looking at each other like, what happened to us? Where we were like, we were killing it like 2 years ago, and now you're telling me about this chicken sauce that you made that's fantastic, that's a wine reduction,
All right, so you know what? When you guys go on tour, this is what you gotta do. All right, you got all the bands, everyone's doing hot sauce. You gotta hit the road with some new chicken soup shit. All right, you gotta break that hot sauce market and say, I got the next level. I'm bringing chicken, bitch.
Yep. Ghost pepper style. We need some ghost peppers.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, so I mean, it was a strange long trip. I'm happy to still be here and happy. Like I'm so grateful that we've had an amazing turn of events like the last few months, especially since we started working with this new manager, Derek from 434. Derek Pichon. He's just like, he's just been a godsend. I mean, honestly, and I'm originally from New Orleans and he's from New Orleans. And I believe in some sort of like angelic destiny or something, because he's really been like, he's been our archangel. Like really, he came along and awesome. Just like,
he picked you back up.
He's just put us back in the jet stream, where we were kind of like, I felt like Tom Hanks in Castaway, where I'm starting to talk to a volleyball and losing my mind. And this guy comes along and like fucking, hey, snap out of it. Give me 30 days.
Yeah, volleyball.
I'm going to plug you back in. Stop talking to Wilson. I got you. You know what I mean? And no shit. I mean, literally like less than 30 days. I mean, every day he's calling. He's like, boom, 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 boom. And we were working with a different team that was like really doing some nefarious shit and was not doing us any favors at trying to, like, on one hand, they're like trying to lift our spirits, but they were doing things that weren't lifting our spirits. And we found out a lot of stuff that they were doing that was really shitty and that was really contributing to this kind of prolonged depression. Right. And Derek came along like a shot of like when they give you like an EpiPen or whatever, you know what I mean? Or Narcon or whatever the fuck it is, like fucking just to kickstart my heart. He started us back up, and then we just recently signed with an incredible boutique label that is
that we'll eventually announce.
Yeah, we're going to announce here maybe in the next less than 2 weeks, but it's helmed by a gentleman that we have the utmost respect for, and that we have also run in parallel lanes with our entire career as well, and is also responsible for some of the biggest bands in the last 25 years, the last big rock stars, so to speak. And he was singularly at the helm of guiding and starting those careers. And we're just completely honored that, he wants to work on us and take us to the next level as well, and work together with us and So, I mean, it's just been a 1-2 punch, like, of positive energy in the last like 3-4 weeks between our management and the new label we signed with. So I just want to say to all of our fans, I know it's been very quiet and we're not the band that gets on TikTok and start dancing and teasing stuff and all this kind of shit. We're not those guys, but you do know when we do announce stuff, it's for real. And, you know, we got something loaded up for you that's going to make it worth the while for your patience, because it's going to catch us up pretty quickly and it's going to put us back to where you saw us before. Everything froze out, and then, you know, it's going to fast track us into the kind of altitude that, you know, we know each other so we're excited about that. We've got a new album that is going to be coming out in 2024. We've got the rebooting of the entire catalog vinyl that's finally going to be coming out on some of the favorite albums for the catalog, as well as some other things that we've never done before, like skateboards, and I'm excited about all this kind of stuff. Dean Guitars, it's been so amazing to us, you know, over the last few years, but especially in the last year. Thank you to Chris Canella for really showing us a lot of love and wanting to be part of this next chapter with our new entities that we're working with. So I think, like, I'm grateful that we hung on, and I'm grateful to this motherfucker right here, because this guy kept me in the game. If it wasn't for this guy, I mean, I tell you, I know a lot of bands out there, they don't hang out and they're not really, like, you know, it's kind of a brotherhood and a business partnership, but this is actually real family. And this man right here has been a huge inspiration to me, and he's kept me from drifting off into the abyss. So I'm grateful that I have a partner like him.
He's kept you grounded.
Yeah, well, he kept me, you know, he pulled me back in, and just when I was really just about to throw the gauntlet and just be done with it. And I'm grateful that I hung on, because sometimes it's true what they say. It's darkest right before the dawn. Right. And it's a tough place to be, because you just don't know, you know, you're like,
sometimes you're in Alaska, so it's dark for half a year.
Right. We were living in Alaska for the last 3 years, it felt like. But yeah, so, you know, it's just, you know, you've got to have faith, but you have to have, like, you know, you've got to have good people around you that you trust, you know. Absolutely. And I'm grateful that I have Island and I have Derek, that are truly like family and my brothers. And it's amazing for me, because I've carried this band for so long, you know, in different eras and phases, but ultimately I've always been the self-motivator that's, you know, had to bridge the gaps of whatever the chapters were in the evolution of the group. And it's very, very comforting to me now at this point in my career and everything that I've done, to be able to, like, step back and not be worried and have complete trust in, you know, my songwriting partner and bass player and my manager, who I feel view the band and what we've accomplished, the legacy of it and the quality of its, you know, accomplishments, the same way that I do, and have the same standards, you know, that I do. And so it's like, it's a real gift to be able to, like, you know, hand the wheel over and not be worried about anything, you know. And I feel like that's an ultimate, like, I feel like that's the greatest. I don't need the Grammys and I don't need anything else to have this kind of relationship, to be able to continue on in my career.
There's no award for that. That's a whole different level.
And not have to do all the heavy lifting, and to know that I got guys on the team now that's like, man, it's so, you know, that's a blessing, because it's almost like, you know, Tom Brady at the end of his career, it's like, you know, yeah, he's still incredible, but if he didn't have all those pieces that are around him, you know, couldn't do what he was doing. And that's like how I felt. Like, I still felt like I had gas in the tank, but not enough to be the only cylinder in the engine firing. Right. You know, I needed, you know, and so
you were riding on fumes.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. I'm in Death Valley looking for a gas station. Yeah. And luckily, you know, I've got a lot of help, so I'm grateful for that. And I just feel like the music that we've been working on is a testament to that, and it's reflective of that. So, just like we've always done, we continue to evolve and add depth to the sound and the material and the story, which we share with our audience, because our audience finds themselves quite a bit in our material, and that's something that's cool, is that
we can relate to a lot of your music. Absolutely.
Once we release that music, it's not really ours anymore. It's like we share these songs. These songs are collective, and it's collective between a huge group of people, and so that's the best thing about being a performer and an artist, to be honest with you. It's a very unique thing that no other profession really, really gets to experience, is that as a songwriter, as a musician, as a performer, you bridge these moments in time, and you get this connective tissue with basically people you don't even know, but you do know them because they find themselves in you and through the material. So it's a very unique relationship, and that's something that a performer absolutely needs, when you've had that experience.
Right.
To not have that is like, you're almost like floating in space, like almost like George Clooney in Gravity, like you're lost out there. And you don't know, like, it'll never end. It's just infinitum. You want to bump into anything, right. And it's just endless space, floating forever. And that's the worst. That's the worst thing, So super stoked to be like in this position, and very grateful and thankful to our fans, and grateful to God and the love around us. Because it's a collective. I mean, it's not a singular thing, it's not me or Island, or it's not, it's the sum of all parts. And especially when you try to make something successful, so many bands out there that are competing and are talented and are coming up with awesome shit, and like fighting for, sound space and bandwidth. And, it really is, it's the accumulation of everybody, pulling together and working as one, So I feel like we have a great team, and we're all on the same page, and we all have the same goals, and we all have the same motivations. And there's a lot of class in this organization, which I'm really very grateful for. Yeah, because you don't find that a lot anymore. Yeah, you don't find that a lot anymore. So, hey, if this is what they say, better late than never. And you had
to work out the kinks. You had to work out the kinks.
Third time's a charm. 3 times a charm. And we are on a roll right now, and I'm never looking back. I'm just might see you in the rear view mirror, but I'm not turning around. I'm just, don't fuck up the streak. Keep going. We have a lot to make up for.
I am so glad that you guys found your path again, and that you had amazing support to help guide you back.
Thank you.
There's a time we all got pulled back, if not just from 2011, but when the pandemic, that's not centralized in one city. That was the world.
No, it was the world, and it was
the world shut down. Well, just when we think we're invincible, nothing can happen. Everything that happened to us, we read about in history books. We never thought we'd live it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you always think that you'll escape it, you'll escape that world war, or you'll escape that pandemic. And we're living in such a insular cocoon of digital stimuli, where everything is instant gratification and everything is moving like this, and it's perfect, and you can make things happen in a day that it used to take 6 months before or something. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like everything screeches halt, and they're just like, sit down, and you're on a need to know right now. I want you to have a seat, and why don't you wear a mask and stand up, sit down 6 feet, 12 feet, I don't know, this, that, whatever. I mean, that was the other thing too, is like the hypermania of this, and the conditioning of the fear, and I mean, just the anxiety, and this was not a fun experience for anybody.
No, it wasn't. And a lot of people went on one hell of an emotional roller coaster. Some of us, I'll call it out, me, are a little more on the stubborn side, just a little more strong-headed and strong, just stubborn,
Yeah.
We, raised to fight the inevitable, and that is part of the inevitable. It's shit you can't control. To expect the unexpected, and either you're going to let it take you down, or you're going to get back up and fight it, you know. And I was taught being Italian doesn't help. Get the fuck back up, you know, move forward.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. I mean, you got to get up and keep moving. It's not about like, you know, you're going to get hit. I mean, it's not about getting hit. Right. It's about, you know, and you're going to get knocked out at times. It's about how fast do you get up and how, you know, how quickly do you get moving again, you know, and, you know, and how many families were torn apart, you know, I mean, with just dissenting opinions of,
friendships,
vaccines, no vaccine,
destroyed.
Politics, this, that, like division lines that severed, you know, relationships.
Everything became blurred, and it just became one chaotic mess. Is all it did.
Yeah, and a lot of vitriol, you know, where people are insisting that what they know is what is right and what you're saying is wrong, and lack of respect for people's opinions. Like I never ever like tried to judge anybody for what they were doing. Like I just wanted someone to accept or respect my choice as to
which was never the case.
How I felt.
If you accept everyone else, but then you aren't seeing it their way, so they can't respect you. It's like, I'm there for you regardless of your opinion. Well, I don't want to be around people like you.
And that hurts. And it sucks. It sucks to be like that open to somebody and be like, hey, look, you know, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I respect your choice and your right to have that choice. I wish that you would also reciprocate that to me instead of calling me a Neanderthal or basically writing me off as dead. You're already dead. You know, I mean, it's like, wow, okay. I didn't know that you worked at the CDC. I guess you know something I don't know. You know, it's like,
I know a little bit.
That was
I did go to med school.
That was frustrating though. Like a lot of people, like, you know, blathering like whatever soundbite they were reading from whatever site they're on, and all of a sudden
Facebook was 100%. That was everyone's news outlet. Oh, it's on Facebook. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah,
really, people?
Google verified it. It's definitely true. It's in the bank. It's in the, you know. So I mean, the you know, for people like us that like to think for themselves and have gotten to where they've gotten to in life by kind of carving out a path that didn't exist, you know. Suddenly now it's like now you're a whack job because you're not just like immediately accepting this as the firmament of the law of the land, you know. And that was kind of like, wow, okay, wow, this is another dimension I wasn't prepared for, to have to, you know, go into serious debate with people that I care about deeply that all of a sudden looked at me as some kind of whack job because I wasn't just like it was taking a spoon feed or whatever, you know. I mean,
like we were saying before, like we started saying, like when I got sick, like I was sick for almost an entire year, and I had a lot of friends that, like, when I was telling them, like when I was going through it, they're like, oh, it's all in your head, you're making it up. It's not. I'm like, no. I'm like,
which is wrong.
I'm legitimately sick, man.
Which is wrong because you were sick. You were sick. You know what I mean?
That's a long time that you were fighting that though, man. A year. I've never heard anyone go on that. I've heard a few months, but dude, that it literally came at you and kicked the shit out of you.
Yeah, I had to literally sleep on my left hand side because if I slept on my right or on my back, I would wake up in the middle of the night choking and stuff. It's weird.
No shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that suffer this the long hauler syndrome, and you know, they're still suffering from the symptoms, you know. And
I've heard about
that.
There's long-term, you know, things that they're still discovering. They're still going around.
I'm good now. I had it 5 more times since then.
Is that all?
We pray that this is like, you know, I pray that this is like, you know, for some time behind us, you know. I hope that there's, you know, that we have reached a clearing and that we are going to we're moving beyond it now. So I'm always a little bit like, you know, I'm a little bit, I guess it's that PTSD, I guess you could say, like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, wondering, it's like, is it what's around the corner? You know, is it still something else coming down the pipe? You know, so, you know, I guess we live to, you know, for the day and keep moving forward. And some things we cannot control, obviously, and we've been shown that recently. And, you know, music is an important force in the world. It's an important fuel that people need for inspiration and motivation, and the will to fight, the will to overcome, you know, whatever it is that you're into, whatever your genre, whatever the, you know, the era, whatever it is, music is a force. It's the ultimate magic, right? Absolutely. It's like Tom Petty said, it's his favorite form of magic because it's real.
Yes.
You know, And it is, you know, so that's what's kept me in it this long, you know, as it changes lives. It's changed my life, you know, and I'm happy to be a part of it, and happy to be representing it, and happy to just be, you know, just a small antenna in the universe, interpreting the human experience. That's it. So.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I mean, you know, even though you were at that border, like you didn't know if you were going to walk away and quit or what was going to happen. Did you do any writing? Did you continue to write during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, on and off, there was a bit of writer's block going on. It was just total shutdown, a lot of anger. I had to like go through the 7 stages of like, you know, whatever that is. There's that I learned it back at school. I don't know. It's that like that pyramid of like emotions that you go through.
Right.
Like you have to do, you know, so like the first is like there's anger, acceptance, you're right, all that stuff, you know.
I think that's like the stages for pretty much anything and everything, you know.
Yeah. So you know, so it was like, but so you know, when you get into a better place and you start to focus, you start to feel yourself a little bit more too. It's a little easier to get back to, oh yeah, I remember this. Like that muscle memory starts to come back, you know. Right. But also like, you know, I didn't know, like I wasn't in a place where I could say anything because I didn't know what was going on inside of me. You know what I mean? It's hard to write a song that you have conviction in when you really don't believe the direction of your own life, you know, or where you're headed.
That's valid.
So you kind of have to find your compass again before, you know, before you can start to lead anyone else out of the dark, you know what I mean? So to speak. So it took a little bit of time, but as the ice has been thawing, things have been pouring out of me. So it's been good.
Yeah. And then
there was like a lot of stuff too was like kind of like subconscious, I guess, writing in a way, because there would be times where like me and him would be hanging out and he would just like say something and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a song.
That's a lyric.
I would just hear like one thing of it and I'd be like, all right.
Yeah, he was netting a lot of this stuff that I was just like stream of consciousness saying and speaking about with passion, and he was like jotting it down and like
using it out of his back pocket. I bought this
and just using it, you know, as launch points for to be revisited later, which have come in really handy. So so that's you know, that's pretty cool. You know, that's why I like collaborating with people, is because it's like, it's so much more fun.
No, then you get many ideas, you get many inspirations, many ideas, and when you combine that stuff, you can create one hell of an idea. You know, not just grab the people, but captivate them. You want to go beyond grab them. You want to really.
It comes together so much faster, and it's also like shared between 2 or 3 people. Now all of a sudden, it's like, you know, it becomes more of a platform instead of more of like kind of a singular opinion or a reflection.
Exactly.
Then it's like there's a kind of a cohesive, resounding, like kind of firmament, you know, like this is this, you know what I mean? We stand behind this. This is us, you know. So the echo is more pronounced, you know. So so yeah, I feel like, you know, I don't know, 20 something years in, we're just getting started.
And you're starting over. You know what? In a lot of ways, as much as the pandemic really put everybody's their mind to the test, it also helped a lot of people reset, because so many of us, you know, not just in the music, it's just anybody and everybody
across the board
needed to actually stop, because so many of us we're driven in our workforce, or we're in whatever mode we're in, and it literally has distracted us from the reality of that life does matter.
It's interesting, like, you know,
we're putting ourselves aside to be there for everyone else, not realizing we're actually destroying ourselves.
I've been feeling like I'm back in college again, because I have the rest of the band all lives with me. So it's like, I have those days where like I come home and I'm like, come home from work and I'm like walking past our guitar player's room and I just hear, hey, you need to do a shot. I'm like,
get in here and do a shot and listen to this riff. It's so awesome. It's so awesome that he's got our drummer and our guitar player living at his house with him. So it's like, it's like we're all in our 40s and it feels like we're like in our early 20s again, which is cool, because a lot of bands that have been doing it as long as us don't have that, you know, that kind of feeling or that rebirth kind of thing, which I think you need in a band. It has to be serious and professional, but it also has to be kind of juvenile, inner child, kind of like teenage buffoonery at the same time. Like you've got to have that kind of playful kind of, what's that thing they call it? It's like intangible, right? It's the intangible. Okay. You can't, there's no formula for it. You just know when you have it. Right. You know if you've had it when you lost it. And if you lost it, you know when you retrieve it again, Exactly. And I feel like we have that right now. So it's a very special time, and we're going to take advantage of that as much as we can and ride this out as far as we can, because nothing lasts forever. And like you said, the world pandemic, you start to realize what's important.
Right.
And we were all running 1,000 miles an hour, in 2,500 different directions, digitally trying to satisfy a world that was like just, unsatisfiable.
They were never impressed, and it was never good enough.
Never know. I mean, you move 10,000 markers on Wednesday, and on Thursday it's 21,000 markers. Now you're like, what the hell? I can't keep up with it.
50,000 behind.
Yeah, and you're still behind. Exactly. And by Friday, you only have 25,000 to catch up. You're like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't keep up with this pace. So I think it did give us an opportunity to realign our perspectives and to realign what's important and what really truly matters, and, there's never more time. Well, that's the thing is you make more money. You can buy another car. You can buy another house and get more clothes. You cannot get more time.
Exactly. We're all living on borrowed time.
Time is finite, and we don't know. That's the big mystical question in the universe for all of us. Everybody's got a different time code, and the stamp was made somewhere else, and you don't know. You think you know, but you don't know how much time you have.
Right.
And we're sitting here planning and planning and planning when really it's passing us by like that.
Yeah.
And as we get older, it's just faster and faster,
Yeah.
And so it's a cool kind of inverted joke when you're in your 20s, all the time in the world and all the energy in the world, but you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Exactly.
When you get a little older, you don't have as much time, you have half the energy, and you know exactly what you want to do. And now you have to deal with your limitations. So
and then by the time you're ready to do it, now your days are numbered.
Yeah, exactly. And by the time you
fully figure it out, broken in 20 different directions, you're like, I can't move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like life is. I guess that's why we keep coming back, right? Because we can't figure it all out in one trip. You got to keep coming back to learn the lessons, so you can add a little bit more every time. So
But, and then you guys started showing your face again, letting everyone know that you had to step back also, just like the rest of the world. We all did. So we all understood. And then you guys come back and you release your latest single, Victory.
Yeah. Which is, I guess it was an interesting timing of release for that song. And I guess life imitating art, or art imitating life, rather. I mean, Victory, really is a song about, overcoming the little struggles are, as momentous as the greatest ones in the pantheon of human existence, so to speak. Like sometimes, everybody's got this, although our struggles are different, our struggles are the same, as humans. And, the will to fight is a victory in itself. The motivation to continue and the spirit, keeping the spirit alive, is a win. So, it's kind of like very autobiographical of where we were at post COVID. And, I think it's a song that, it's kind of a throwback, I guess, to when music was like a little bit more inspirational. Like the 80s and early 90s, where songs used to kind of like, leave you, kind of give you kind of a bump. It was like kind of a high, you know what I mean? Like you'd listen to a tune and you'd be like,
realistic meanings, it actually hits you the right way, as
you almost
negative.
Feel like you could pull off superhuman things, you know what I mean? It makes you feel like an X-Men or something, like, so like, I think that's like, it was something that we needed to just kind of like get out of our system and put out into the world that, we really are all the same. We're all fighting the same battle, although the different daily struggles look slightly different when you really stretch it out across the bandwidth of what connects us all. We really all go through the same things.
Exactly.
We're all fragile. We all have self-esteem issues. We all want more.
We all have our own demons. We are always fighting our own demons and our own battles, and the war is just beginning.
And some of them we've conjured on our own, and some of them we were born into.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a choice. So
exactly.
How you mitigate those things and the balance of all of that, is kind of how the scorecard turns out. So, it's, we're just people, and so we just try to write what we know and what we feel and live and try to find the truth in it and find that center that, people can all gravitate to and find their truth in it as well, and I think that's what's kept this band going. And people that discover this band every day, it's their favorite new band. It's a 20-year-old band. That's their new band. But I think we're grateful for that, because that's a testament to the time of music is still on it. The music. Yeah. That we did a good job in not following trends or fads or gimmicks, but just tried and true hard rock, rock and roll, soulful kind of passionate performance, music, just song oriented stuff that's that pays tribute to people that we grew up on. And craftsmanship of songs and lyric is important. Words are important. I know a lot of people don't think that anymore, that they can just repeat some blurps and this and that and whatever, and that's just one thing. But I can tell you what, the script is important. And anyone who's lived for real knows that the script is very important. And the words resonate with people, so the words are important. So lyric is important. So craftsmanship is important.
Yeah, we got a bunch of messages popping up on the side. I didn't want to cut you off. I was letting you go, but Tom from Tom's World. We all must keep moving on. We all must continue.
That's absolutely right. Life doesn't. Life keeps moving. Life keeps moving, and you either keep you get back in the race and try to get ahead of it, or you get left behind. And that's a terrible feeling, to feel like that, to be left behind. So as hard as it can be sometimes to fight your way back in the race, you have to survive, and there's no sympathy anymore for anybody, for anything. It's the world moves faster than ever. It's callous, it's cold, and it's unforgiving. And, that's why family is important. Love is important, real love, true love of each other, not the glamour things, not the Kardashian way of life, but seeing the real elements of
everything being sugar-coated that you watch on TV is not life.
That's the poison. That's the poison. The truth is, none of us are perfect. We're not all beautiful. We're not all, we all can make ourselves up to look a certain way and this and that. But at the end of the day, we all, we have our flaws, and none of us are truly, impervious to, what life does to us. I mean, it cracks us, it breaks us, it hurts us, and we get the scars to prove it, and we keep moving from that. But seeing into another person's soul and loving them for everything that they are, their good and their bad, and accepting them.
Accepting their flaws just like you expect them to accept yours.
That's the ultimate. I think that's the ultimate power, really, is the ultimate power is showing the mercy.
Right.
And sharing the love. I mean, like John Lennon said, all you need is love. And Bob Marley preaching love, love. Love is the most powerful form of power in the world, I think. And, and music is something that helps to embellish that power and to bring out the colors of that power, and helps to give, truth and resonance to the emotions that go with that power. So I think that's why that's the soundtrack to the heartbeat. The beat, the rhythm is the heart. And that's what we all march to that, no matter what, whether you're into hip hop or metal or oldies or classic or R&B or jazz. Mm-hmm. It's that heartbeat, that beat's there. That's in every single one of us, you know. So anywhere you go in the world, it's all starts with that beat, you know. So it's the universal language. So we're just diplomats of that. We're ambassadors of that. That's all we are. We just interpret the best we can, and we try to share our experiences and put them into a form that, you know, can be shared with others and pass the message along. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
here, I'm going to throw this one up. Okay. I have no idea who this is. It's listed under Facebook user. For everyone, for you to not come up as a Facebook user, you need to let StreamYard, which is what I use on my YouTube, let you use your camera and your mic. It has nothing to do with posting comments, but it seems to make it happen. I don't know. That's fucking cool. Whatever. YouTube.
For you guys.
They said we opened for you guys at Top Fuel Room years back. I have no idea who that is.
Top Fuel Saloon. Is that the one in Illinois?
That's what's
Illinois. The Freak, right? Freakster.
Yes.
Freakster's place, man. Oh man, so cool. Right on, man. Right on. We played a lot of shows at Freakster's place. Always a great, you know, what a great dude. A guy just like constantly working to create a cool place for bands to like be able to stop on the road in between touring and on tour, and then do a radio thing. And he's like a beacon of, you know, like a lighthouse, always putting the message out. Yeah, very cool. Right on, man.
He's been very much a part of the scene, from long before he even had Top Fuel Room. You know, he'd break there with me, you know, Q101. Ryan Sorensen, very big follower of the Savages and everything I represent, and he's also part of Chicago's Backlash.
Oh, right on. Cool, man.
So he was with you guys over at Top Fuel Saloon. So that's
cool. Do it again.
That's awesome. I'm sure we will cross paths again, Ryan. I'm sure we will. Being that we do play Chicago, Illinois, Madison, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan is a big a mainstay for us as a band.
When you guys go on tour, I'm throwing this out there. I am also booking partners with the owner of the WC Social Club music venue in West Chicago. So I am one of the main booking agents for that venue. So if you guys go on tour and you want to, not, you know, Chicago, you have different areas that you can work with.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely. Just like New York and Tampa and everything. Yeah. Well, you know what? We got to connect you with Derek, and you guys can have that conversation.
You know what? Thanks to you, we have each other's numbers. So thank you. I apologize about that. Like I said, I got some really bad news a couple days ago, and it just set my mind flying.
It happens. It happens. It's okay. It happens. I'm sorry for your news, and I'm sorry for your loss. So
thank you. See, if Tom's World, you guys should come out to Philly.
Philly. Oh man, I miss Philly. We've had we played the TLA there. I played the Trocadero.
What was that one place that we played that was right next to School Rock?
Oh shit, I can't remember that place. Yeah.
That place was a cool place. So they had a lot of cool breweries.
Philly's a really cool city. It's like it sometimes gets overshadowed by Boston and New York and like DC or whatever, but Philly's like, make no bones about it. Like some of the greatest music has come out of Philadelphia, whether it's R&B or rock and roll or hip hop. The streets of Philadelphia are no joke. There's a lot of truth on those streets. And
I got friends out there. I would love to go there one day. I'm gonna go.
They always say there's no fan like a Philly fan. And if you've ever been to an Eagles game, you know that's for sure, because there are not many stadiums in the NFL that have their own jail in the stadium.
No
and
shit.
There's a reason why, because Philly fans, they mix it up.
Chicago doesn't have one, actually.
I know, right? And seriously, right? I'm surprised there aren't a few more cities that don't have one.
Chicago, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
but they definitely got an Eagles jail there at the stadium, and they're for real. Whether you're in the Phillies, the Flyers, or the Eagles, or the Sixers, rather, they're all about it. So I appreciate that, having lived in New York for 20 years and knowing all about fanaticism and that emphatic kind of like, you know, bigger than life kind of thing. It's a cool thing. So when you roll into a city like that, you know, you bring your A game, because when you win over an audience like that from like Philadelphia or DC or New York or Chicago, it's like you've got people like on your side for life. You know, it's up to you to lose them, so to speak, you know.
Yeah.
I remember when we toured with Creed in 2012, we opened the tour at the Chicago Theater 2 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was incredible. Like, talk about a venue that's like, wow. There's a little bit of history there.
Yeah.
The Chicago Theater.
Yeah, the Chicago Theater, man,
3,500.
a lot of our theaters are some old, they're the original movie theaters from the early 1900s.
Right.
And a lot of them have been converted into venues, and amazing venues, and some of the original architectures there. I'm big on history. I'm a huge history.
You can feel it when you're in those places and you're performing in those places.
Absolutely.
Like in New York,
beautiful.
there's the Beacon. New York has the Beacon.
Yeah.
And it's similar, exactly like Chicago Theater, that same era, the 1920s.
Yep.
And that era of like the vaudeville, like majestic theaters of that time that they used to call them or whatever. I mean, the architecture, the marble, the granite, the stairways, it's insane.
Also, and almost pristine, the historic society steps.
And restored and just like, wow. And I firmly believe you have to take the ghost tours in some of these places.
Oh, dude, I would love to see the back where no one's supposed to go. Be like, all right, there's some history back here. I'm in.
It's crazy. I know there's one place.
The dark, creepy areas that nobody's supposed to go in. I want to hear those stories. That's where I want to go.
Two of the best places for that. There's 2 theaters that, one is in Milwaukee, and it's called the Raves Eagles Ballroom.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That place is...
that's got some... Yeah, dude, that's got
amazing place to play a show or see a show, but super creepy. Like that, the pool area.
You've seen the back area. You've seen it inside and out. I haven't seen it like completely inside like you guys have, so I can imagine.
Oh man, I tell you what, when you walk into a place and the temperature changes and like the hair on your arm stands up, it's like you're like something's in there. Frost. Yeah, you're like, damn, that's something ain't right there. And then the other place is called the Midland Theater in Kansas City.
Okay.
Which has a really cool ghost tour that you can this takes you backstage and stuff, and there's some creepy stuff. As much as Chicago was a gateway to the Midwest, so is Kansas City. So lots of souls checked in and out of there.
There's that place we played up in was it Maine? We played that had that haunted, like it was an old bank, and they had that haunted upstairs room.
Oh yeah. Who were we with when we played that? I
can't remember who we were with, but I can't remember one of the guys. Like, was it you or was it one of the guitar players that was upstairs and like somebody came upstairs and like walked through, but nobody actually came upstairs.
Right. Yeah. No.
Did you hear the steps clear as day?
Oh yeah, I actually saw them. Like
you could. Yeah. It's there's that energy that you can sometimes.
Dude, I'm very into the supernatural. The creepy haunted place. I'm all about it. I'm so into it. I love that kind of stuff. But I just want to throw this out there. I know it's we've been a little over an hour, and hope you guys aren't rushed because I'm.
It hasn't felt like that at all. Actually,
yeah, I do literally. I actually have like 3 pages worth of questions. Yes. I actually do my own research and write the shit down. I don't use electronics. I'm old school. Old school as fuck. That's 90s kid,
Hell yeah. Calisthenic learning, right? Calisthenic learning. If you write it down, you'll learn it.
I break electronics, so I'm safer with notebooks. I'll call out my own shit. But
we totally get it over there.
So you guys are ready to come back. You released Victory in 2022. You've been writing more songs, preparing for your 6th, well, not counting your EP, but now 7th actually, if you count your EP. Your 7th album release, and you guys are going to release that in 2024. You got an ETA on that?
Spring 2024.
Okay.
There'll probably be a lead-off single, probably like late January, early February, and then it'll be an April release, probably is what we've been told.
We've been kind of picking through it, like we have a crap ton of material to go through, but we've been kind of picking through what we want to actually have on there and work out the themes and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, we have a concept for the record and everything for the record. I'm dating myself, but the album, we don't know exactly if we're going to release it as an LP or if it's going to be a series of EPs or whatnot. For once in our life, we have too much material, which is a blessing. But we've have a lot to say because we've,
you've had the time to write it down and say it.
Yeah, there's times and moments in life where you have to speak up, and we feel like this is one of these times. You can't take this for granted. So many times in our lives we continuously bank on the next time and the next time, and something
and
that
sometimes that next time does not come.
something that COVID taught me was that if I get one more chance to do this, lay it all out on the table, because
right,
you cannot take for granted the fact that the podium or the platform may not exist next time.
Yeah.
You may not get this opportunity again. So whatever it is that you have to say, go ahead and speak your minds, clear the air, do it, because we really, the future is amazing, and planning for the future is necessary. But at the same time, if you overplan for the future, you miss the present. And the present is the now. The now is what's guaranteed. If you're up above the ground, if you're breathing, that's a gift in itself. So you have the day today. Don't burn the day, carpe diem. So tomorrow is not promised.
Right.
All we have is today. So that's something that we are, our management is very much reminding us of 2024 is be careful what you wish for, because you are going to be working constantly, which is what we wanted. But this is essentially, we didn't want to be presumptuous or premature with this. So this is a 2024 thing, because, the way that this business cycles now, it's literally lead time and for festivals and touring and releases is a year.
Yeah.
Is it to logistically do it correctly, to set it up right.
Right.
And for everybody to have the time to prepare. When you're 19, 20, it's one thing. But, you get a little bit older, things move in cycles. You need time to be ready, to focus, to commit, So we're going to be very, very busy. 2024 is going to be a full year's touring, which will include some international stuff as well. Finally, we will be going abroad. So that's something we've wanted to accomplish, which we've been very close to doing. And then it always evaded us, whether it was COVID or label disagreements or whatever, this time it's all going to fall into place. So there were reasons to come back as well, for just, things we wanted to cross off our list. There were still things we had to do and we wanted to do. And as much as we feel that people say that we've done, there's so many things we feel we haven't done. And we're kind of the group that we just always feel we can do it better, and we can, there's always something to learn, and there's ways to evolve. I mean, if Iron Maiden is kicking everybody's ass in 2023, and those guys are, well into their 60s and possibly almost 70, I guess. I don't know, maybe late 60s at least, I think that we all have room to improve.
Right.
What I mean?
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fallacy. Don't ever look for perfection. It's a fallacy. It doesn't exist.
It's an
oasis.
Always
strive for the best. Always strive for the best, but perfection does not exist.
And personal growth, character growth, evolution, personal evolution, adding dimensions to your character, to yourself, to your persona. That's something that that's important to me as a writer, as a performer, is like, my audience isn't the same they were 10 years ago. Why would I want to be replicating who I was 10 years ago?
Right.
If you don't grow,
you need to evolve. You need to evolve, not just for the fans, but for yourselves.
Yeah, if you don't grow, I mean, that's how artists lose their audience. The audience keeps moving. The audience discovers new things. The audience gets into technology. The audience is personally challenging themselves. The audience is getting into shape. The audience is falling in and out of love. The audience is having children. The audience is retiring. The audience is like, their life is moving. If you are stuck in the hall of mirrors, from when you were big at this time or whatever your personal thing is that traps you in a moment in time, then you are falling behind and you will lose those people. So you have to keep moving with the pace of life and the pace of everything, of progress. So, that's something that is important to us. We have to, you can't speak to a group of people if they don't understand what you're saying, because you are, over there now and they're over here. And what happened to you?
You're still stuck in that bubble that you won't walk, that you won't pop.
And that's the trappings of the ego. The ego is what keeps you locked in the crystal mirror hall of where, in 2013, I played this thing and did that. Well, that's great, man. and you were awesome then, but that moment's gone. It's over. You know,
10 years later, man, everyone's ready to move 2 decades forward.
What about today? Exactly. Yeah. Right. So, you know,
but you're able to keep yourself trapped in a time capsule. Like 1985, 1986 would be a good one.
86? Is that where you go back to, 86?
Right.
I think, 86 would probably not be a bad year. I don't know, 80s, early 90s. I mean, I like technology, but I feel like maybe sometimes there's too much. You know, I still know how to use a map. I remember touring with MapQuest and atlases.
Right.
I went on a tour one time back in like, well, I'm not even going to say when it was because it'll really date me, but where the guy that gave us directions for our routes and everything like that would literally be like, you got to drive down 305 and then there's see a red barn. Right. Take a left there until you see a blue mailbox. You go about another mile down the road, and the venue will be on your right.
It's true.
Yeah, my dad's so old school. My dad still refuses to have a cell phone.
Not and everyone will get lost.
My dad refuses. He goes, I have it up here. He goes, fuck technology. That shit's gonna fail you guys. And what are you gonna have? You're not gonna have nothing up here, and you're gonna rely on what? There's nothing there. And he goes, people who use their head are a dying breed. I'm like,
no, he's right. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I mean, technology is a great asset. It's not, absolutely. You cannot, like, you still have to be able to, if all of a sudden you were dropped in a hole and the Wi-Fi is not there, and what are your skills? Can you have critical thinking ability? Can you navigate anything? Can you survive? Can you start a fire? Can you basic survival things, you know?
And you can track your people down better and everything like that now with that. Right.
Yeah.
But if you accidentally leave a band member behind somewhere, they could call you like in 10 minutes.
This is true.
One time I actually left a merch guy in Spain. We left him in Spain. We didn't know.
Of all the places to leave a guy, it's a good place to leave him.
How long ago it was? Because it was before cell phones or pagers. We didn't find out until we got back to our house, and I had a message on my answering machine.
You didn't even realize he was gone.
And he was like, I missed the plane, man. He's like, it's cool. I got a job here. I'm going to stay here for a while.
That's what I'm saying.
I went to wash dishes. I got my meal. I put a roof over my head.
But nowadays with cell phones, they could call you and be like, I'm going to be late. You can figure out how to get them back.
What happened to Nate? Nate lives in Barcelona. He got married to a beautiful Spanish lady and has 2 children. That all stemmed from you leaving him behind as the merch guy. She started a new life, right? I wouldn't mind being left behind in Spain. Here's a beautiful place, and you know, there's worse places to lose time, so that's all right with me. But you're right. Like, hey, you know what? Like, does anybody know? Like, I know 3 phone numbers that I've memorized that have managed to stay the same. And if I need, like, if I got arrested and I need to make that phone call, most people don't know any phone numbers because it's all on their phone, right? Who the hell are you going to call, bro? The Ghostbusters?
Walking phone book 25 years ago. Now I think there's maybe 2, maybe.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I used to know 10, 9, maybe now know 3, but you got to have 3. I mean, you got to have somebody you're going to call. I mean, what's the use of getting a phone call, you know?
There's another question.
So,
Ryan left a message saying, Ryan Hero, what was your main takeaway playing with bands like Creed, Daughtry, Three Doors Down, Saliva, etc. from a professional standpoint?
Wow. Well, that's a good question, Ryan. First off, when you get those kind of gigs and your support for a band that has made it or is making it on that tour, you have to remember that you're a guest in their house, you know, and you have to, the drama's for the stage and not for the backstage, not for, you're not to be seen nor to be heard, except for that 30 or 45. You get on, you get off, you do a great job, you support the show. You're a professional unless they ask you to hang out. That's the only time you will hang out. Never overstay your welcome. You want essentially to be asked back, right? Things you can pick up on, the professionalism of how a crew works at that level, the efficiency, the lack of like buffoonery of that's, you know, everybody there is a professional. They're tactical. They're in and out. There's no bullshit. There's no drama. There's no crying in baseball, like Tom Hanks said in A League of Their Own. Okay.
I love that movie, A League of Their Own.
It's a great movie. And, like Creed, I mean, listen, the band has sold 65, 70 million records. The level of professionalism that Mark Tremonti and Scott Stapp, I mean, no matter what side you're on or whatever the drama is that you bought into or whatever, that band is the real deal. And they wrote the songs and they backed it up every night. They put on a fantastic show, great to their fans. Awesome crew. You can always tell how great the artist is by how they treat their crew. And that's a really great lesson to learn, is that if you want to make it in this business and you want to last, don't be a dick to the crew, right? Yeah. Because especially your bus driver, your tour manager, your lighting guy, your techs, these are the people that make you shine every night. They don't get the spotlight, but without them, you look like a monkey fucking football up there. You know what I mean? It's like, you're like an amateur at Guitar Center or something.
The egos are strong, and it's a thing in the scene. But unfortunately, the egos also show you who they really are. If they can't tell. Yeah, and
that's a character thing. That's a character thing. That's where character gets revealed. So how you treat people is a very big deal. Obviously, maintain the line of professionalism. And you're the artist and they're the crew, but there's no reason to treat anybody like they're lesser than you or whatnot. We're all humans out there trying to make it happen. You got to be respectful. You treat people how you want to be treated. That's the best way.
Like when we're on the Queensryche run and I got a text message on my phone at 1 a.m. from Eddie Jackson. He's like, "Where you at?" I'm like, "I'm on my bus." And he showed up with chicken that he made for us because he wanted to make sure we ate. And I was sitting there looking at Taki like, dude, I got a text message from Eddie Jackson. He's bringing us chicken.
And I'm over here like,
I remember like when I was a kid, I would have been like,
I'm lost in the Jet City Woman video because I'm like 13 again, or 14 going, the bass player from Queensryche wanted to make sure that we ate tonight. Like, wow. That's like, there's super good dudes. And then there's guys like Eddie Jackson who are just like, they've reached Jedi level of like, morality, humanity, and like caring, like he's a very soulful person. And I tell you what, it's very, very inspiring and man, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like enlightening to see your idols be cool people, right? So many times we are expecting the worst, right? Oh, and it happens a lot of times. You're like, oh man, and you're like, oh my god, that guy's an asshole. You know what I mean? You're like, and you're crushed. But when like for me, Queensryche was a really big, like, Empire was a huge record for me. I was in middle school and like Jeff Tate had an incredible voice. Like one of the reasons I wanted to become a singer. So to be on tour with Queensryche and and to see how Todd La Torre was crushing it every night and like killing it, and like what an incredible band they are, and to see them as awesome people as well, like that just makes it even more like, just takes on another dimension of like, wow, these guys are just superhuman. They're heroes.
And it was great because even after that tour ended, it was like still communication still going between the two bands, and like they did like a bunch of video shoots down here, and like I'd show up for their video shoots. There's a couple things I helped.
They're not fake. They're not fake people. They're real people. They care. They walk it like they talk it, and it's like that's refreshing. Which is why they've had a career as long as they've had, because
exactly
sooner or later you get found out. You know what I mean? If you're an asshole.
Yeah, you can only hide that shit for so long. It will get out. It will get out. Absolutely. So, so
that's
Ryan
our manager. He's like, "You guys are on. You guys have been on forever. What's going on?" Sorry about that. He's just checking in with us.
No, it's totally cool. That's why I wanted to make sure it was okay. I was just like,
Thanks,
we're just
Taki. Appreciate insight from being in those situations. A lot of us smaller bands are trying to build to that level. It's great to have you guys on Savage Ladies podcast to share some wisdom. Hey, no worries, man. My pleasure. And you know what? We're all smaller bands. I mean, there are no smaller bands. I mean, we're, our experiences and journeys are not all the same, but
by spring next year, we might be opening up for you, man.
I mean, you know what I mean? Anything can happen today, and you just don't ever lose, don't pigeonhole yourself into a box that you don't necessarily have to be put into. You keep shooting for the sky, man. It's like, don't get beaten down by the industry and you know, I can tell you one thing: nobody becomes anybody not believing that they're going to be that person. You know what I mean? Like, if from Frank Sinatra to David Lee Roth to Dave Grohl to Jay-Z. I mean, you know, these guys, you know, at one moment were, you know, carrying some other guy's gear, but in their mind they knew that it was only a matter of time till the world was going to be, you know, introduced to this power that they had inside of them, you know. So the key to that is believing. You have to believe first, you know. You have to believe more than anyone else, and the world will come as soon as you unlock that, but you have to believe more than anyone else. So don't ever doubt yourself, and keep writing and keep searching for your truth, and put that truth into that song. Speak your truth, and you know what, the universe has an incredible way of rewarding you for that, and resonating that, and carrying that sound farther than you could have ever thought it would go.
So, yeah, that's beautiful. That's amazing and on point advice, not just for today's musicians, but for tomorrow. You know, you got to be open minded. You got to be ready. You know. Yeah, but that's amazing advice. Absolutely.
And you got to keep working. You know, you got to keep working. As soon as you think you've written the best song, you know, you got to write the next one. You know, the worst part of having a hit is that you need another one.
Exactly.
And they don't grow on trees. Sometimes it takes you 10 years to write the first one, and they want the next one tomorrow.
Right.
So, you know, don't take it for granted that, you know, journal. I've got, you know, I walk around with my cell phone when I'm working during the day. I got an app on my phone where I will hear a melody in my head, and I log it down right away, because I know it comes and it goes as quickly as it comes, as quickly as it goes. So capture it and notate it so that you can, you know, bring it out later in the studio or in a demo or whatever you're working on. But you know, that inspiration, that lightning strikes, you know, when it strikes, you gotta get it. You know, you can't take it for granted. And
your guitar player, sleep with the guitar next to your bed. You are gonna wake up at 2:30 in the morning and be like, I'll remember that in the morning, and you won't.
No, yeah, you never will. Don't ever think you'll remember it. And if you do remember it, it's fucking amazing. It's an amazing song, amazing riff or melody or whatever, and kudos to you. Which those usually end up being the best ideas. But for the majority of us that aren't superhuman, it's best to like log it down when you grab it, and then develop it. You know, but at least you know you've got the schematic or the skeleton of it. You know, so. But
that's awesome. So again, I want to say, Derek, I apologize. We keep going, you know. And I did ask them at the 1 hour mark, so I did.
We did. But we could definitely do another 15. We can do till 10:45.
You know what? I could totally do this too. You know, I would love to bring you guys back towards the end of the year, just before you start your tour, and we can help.
I was gonna say, I think we could probably do a couple of chapters here with this. With your
you know what? I have so much I want to talk to you guys about. I mean, there's just so much I never got to, because we are having an amazing interview, and just it's a great chance.
I appreciate your thoughtful questions, and also your audience, you know, is super cool. Like I like the way they interact and they come up with you know, some poignant things.
I let them get involved. If they got questions, I'm more than happy to relate, because they, you know,
bring them on. We'll do our best to, you know, to give our insight, you know, as best we can.
Awesome. Do you guys have any shows planned this year? I know you're going on tour next year, but what do you have coming up?
We do have a series of there's going to be a few one-offs. We do have one pending right now for the middle of the summer, where we're going to be doing a decent sized event in the South. We're just waiting on confirmation of that. But there's going to be a few events, a few shows, probably by maybe a series of 5 or 6 shows to wrap out the year, where we're going to be testing some of this material and you know, just kind of like a boxer, you know, like getting back in the ring and sparring and you know, getting your muscle memory, and you're slipping that jab, and you know what I mean, like you want to, you know, you got to even Michael Jordan, when he retired, he came back. He needed time to get that fadeaway back, and you know, it's you know, it's not
time to
everything's
spar.
instantaneous.
Time
You
to
know,
spar.
you need a little bit of time. So,
Yeah.
so we're excited about that.
There's gonna be a little bit more raw getting back to the roots.
Yeah, which I'm okay with, because we've always been at the heart of us, you know, is just a really a 4-piece, you know, kind of like old school hard rock band, you know, which, you know, I think you always have to like be able to fall back on, you know. I know there's been some bands recently that have made headlines where somebody stole their computer and they had to cancel the show. Well, okay. Wow. I mean, I get it.
It happens.
The shows are synced with production and this and cues and this and that and whatever. But the bottom line is, I mean, A, people have paid for tickets and they're expecting a show. And B, the computer is an awesome asset.
It is.
It definitely can help embellish and make things more magnificent at times or whatever. But it is not the show. The show cannot be the computer. Computer, it's got to be the band. The band, you got to be able to play. You can't play. You know, I mean, if suddenly, you know, you can't do the Ableton files are gone or whatever, or you don't have the strings behind the song, well, okay, you don't have the strings tonight, but show must go on, as Freddie Mercury said. So, you know, you've got to, you know, I mean, we've done shows where, I mean, I remember the PA going down. I mean, I think we were on tour with Daughtry. We were playing one of these places in 2007, and it was like the towers went out because they clipped, like they blew the breaker or whatever. But we kept going. We were going. My brother kept playing, like we're on a click, blah, blah, blah. I'm singing along as if the PA is still hitting, right?
It's still going.
Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this motherfucker's going to get it going back. It's going to come back. Let's be in time. Keep rolling. Sure enough, time we hit, like just after the solo, coming to the third chorus, PA comes roaring back up. And we were right there. It made that finish even more magnificent because it was like, oh, that band did not stop playing. And that's the thing. You've got to keep marching on through it, you know? So that's like the testimony to, you know, your practicing, your skills, your fundamental foundation, you know, like at the end of the day, like sometimes the PA's done and you've got to get up there with an acoustic guitar, put on a show. You can still rock with an acoustic.
Absolutely.
If you know how to hold an audience and you know how to deliver material, you can definitely make that shit rock.
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
And so, and the audience will appreciate you even more because you know what? Just like they have to do in their daily lives at their jobs, some days things just don't go right. Right.
Yeah.
But guess what? You don't get the call.
Make the initiative to make it happen.
You got to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
You got to make that shit happen. By 5 o'clock, I got to have these reports in. Otherwise, my ass is done. You know, I'm fried. That's the same thing. When you're a performer, that's it. People drove 150 miles, got babysitters, 2 hours to and fro, paid a lot of money for the backstage, did this and that. Suddenly, you're not feeling up to it because blah, 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 the computer and this and that, and whatever. That shit's not going to fly. That don't fly in the real world. You're a performer. A performer needs to be able to deliver no matter what. And I, you know, being born in New Orleans and living in New York City for 20 years, some of the greatest performers I've ever seen were on the sidewalk and in the subway.
Absolutely.
So I've seen guys with buckets.
Which is another reason
guys
why
with 2 strings on their guitar make it happen. So you know
which is why people really should, when they go to shows or they go to huge concerts, don't avoid the openers. Because you are more than likely missing some of the most amazing acts that in 10 years you are going to worship, and you could have been there to see them in the beginning.
I mean, that's so true. You know, how many times have you know, people turn their backs on, you know, groups that like all of a sudden, you know, and 12, 15, 18 months later, suddenly this band hits with the second album and it's like, boom.
Right.
Oh, I saw them open last year, but I didn't really see them because I was jabbing or I was outside. I was whatever, you know.
Right. Yeah. You were waiting for the headliners and this and that. It's like you really don't realize what you're missing. That's another reason why I got into what I do. I want to help introduce people to some amazing bands that do exist. They're out there that don't have the right people yet in their lives to help introduce them there, to get them out there. You know, and
that's something we're real passionate about too, is the community feeling of musicians and music and bands. And you know, too often are we you know, we retreat back to our brands and our insular kind of like little empires, where we forget that really, like, you know, we're much stronger if we unite together, you know,
Absolutely.
and we collaborate and we co-write and we, you know, kind of like make each other's battles our own, you know,
Right.
so that we can all endure and survive. Because at the end of the day, if we don't survive, there's nobody going to be there to continue and pass the torch to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, something that we like to encourage, you know, on the road is like, you know, when we're out with bands that are younger than us or just coming up or whatever, you know, I mean, we're not the guys, we're not gonna like preach and teach and this and that, like, but you know, we tell stories and we're like try to remain open to like and inviting to the younger bands, you know, so that there can be exchange and open forum, so that, you know, there can be learning through, you know, communication and experience, you know,
Right.
rather than like lecture, you know.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I don't think there's enough of that in our business, especially in rock. Bands we're all gypsies, you know.
It is a gypsy.
And,
It is a gypsy lifestyle. It really
it's
is.
a gypsy
It is.
lifestyle, you
It
know,
is.
whether you got Louis Vuitton luggage or you got a beat up
Yep.
old Samsonite, you're still schlepping your shit and you're living out of a suitcase. You know,
Yeah,
you're getting
you
a
are. You
Prevo,
really are. I
or
mean,
you're getting out of you know, getting out of a shuttle van or a shuttle bus, you know, it's all the
you
same
still
shit.
gotta wash that. You
So
still gotta wash that swamp ass just like everyone else.
yeah, I mean that exchange, you know, of
Yeah.
song is really the language, our currency that we trade in. And
Mhm.
the fact that there's so much competition where everyone's afraid to like, oh, I don't like that, he's gonna steal my this, blah 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 blah. It's like, nah,
Right.
dude, you got it wrong. We get in the kitchen, start cooking together. Like, you never know. Like, there wouldn't have been a Layla. There wouldn't have been so many songs that were written
Right.
by incredible forces that came together in that moment in time that created this new entity, you know, this new thing.
Right.
So I think that that's important. You know, yes, your brand is important. Your artistic identity is important. The way you market yourself is important. But what's also
Absolutely.
important are your professional friendships.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who you guys
your
standing by you on the side? What are they going to help you actually move forward, or are they going to keep you down?
the
That's, you know,
camaraderie you can have with people that you respect, that are your colleagues,
absolutely.
you know, like Eddie Vedder and Chris Cornell, two of the
Right.
greatest of the 90s movement, right?
Yeah,
Two
absolutely.
legends,
Without question.
two icons that, you know, collaborated on Temple of the Dog and collaborated so many times in their life. And, you know, and we're all better off for it, for the music that they've given us, you know. But I mean, if you can have two incredible forces like that sit in a room and figure out who's going to sing the higher harmony and the higher, you know, and you know, I mean, it's like, dude, check yourself at the door, man.
Right.
Like, that's what it's about,
Exactly.
man. You know what I mean? like it's been done better. So, you know,
Right.
you know, get yourself back on earth for a minute and like do it
Right.
right, you know. So
Yeah.
I think like the ultimate thing to serve is the music, right? The power is the music, like Robert Plant said, you know. They serve, you know, the master is the music, right? And everything
Mhm.
else is secondary to that. So all that matters is coming up with the hook, coming up with that riff,
Right.
coming up with that melody, delivering that lyric, you know. And it could be me, it could be you, you know. What matters is that we find it, you know, and we move along
Right.
with it and we deliver it, you know. And that's the ultimate. The rest of it is, you know, is kind of like just ego stroking. And, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
we need it. Sometimes, you know, you don't. Sometimes it's the worst thing for you. So honestly, the more you can humble yourself, the better it is. And I think the more empowered you
Absolutely.
become. That's my
Absolutely.
ultimate message is don't be a dick.
Right. I mean, to sum it up. Stop.
Pretty
I mean,
much. Like,
just
you
don't
know,
be a dick. Don't be that asshole. You know.
we all have our
Don't be
moments.
that guy. As
None of
my
us are
friend always says,
perfect,
don't be that
but
guy.
in general, if you can have that as your bumper sticker, you're going to go far.
Right. You guys, thank you so much. This was an amazing interview. I had a lot of fun. You know,
We did too.
for everybody, keep your eyes open and your ears fucking listening, because if you haven't heard their latest single release from last year, you need to catch up with that. It's Victory. It's also a great song. If you don't know who they are and you just heard about them for the first time, they have 6 albums out there that you need to check out. One of my favorites, absolute favorite songs out there.
Hey, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and thank you to all the fans.
Yes.
and your audience that wrote in and had
Mhm.
awesome questions and really good interaction. We got to do
Right.
this again sooner than
Yes,
later, for
yes,
sure.
we definitely will. So everyone,
sure.
keep your eyes peeled. Check what platforms can they find you guys on? Where can they find you and your?
We're on all the platforms. Facebook.com/Eve to Adam. We also are on TikTok. We're on Instagram at official Eve to Adam. And what else? We're on Twitter. I mean, anywhere you like to spend your time on the platforms, we've got a channel there. So YouTube as well. Everything is kind of getting updated right now, and we're going to be uploading this entire experience that we just kind of like talked about today.
Right.
Is going to be represented in video snippets and behind the scenes stuff in the studio and stuff. So definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's going to be basically the major like behind the scenes like access point for a lot of this stuff, but certainly, Facebook as well, whatever your fancy is, we're there. So you can find us, but as well, follow us on Spotify. Because that's where you'll be finding out where the newest singles will debut probably first, and where you'll get your first fix of the new of the new cuts and stuff. So, but again, thank you guys so much. Thank you to our audience, and thank you to all the music lovers out there. We keep the world going. We write it, you believe in it, you live it, we all live it. This is who we are. Music is all of our world, and without it, what a boring place the world would be. So and it takes us all to make it work. Performers and audience. It's a two-way street. It takes two of us to dance. So we'd be nothing without you. So we're very grateful, and we thank you, and we will see you soon, and we will do this again. You're awesome. Thank you so much, hon.
Absolutely. We'll definitely talk to you guys very soon. And everyone, keep your eyes open for those shows and the tours. They are coming back.
All right. Much love to Chicago from Tampa Bay.
Awesome. Much love from Chicago to Tampa Bay.
Enjoy your summer.
All right, you guys.
The Gold Coast. The Gold Coast of Chicago is amazing. Amazing.
We'll talk very soon, guys.
All right. Thank you.